I don't know what to tell.
Hello, hello. Here we
Hey,
are on another Monday at 8 o'clock. I'm Jackie, the wellness advocate.
I'm Jay with the ish.
I'm Roberta, the tool lady.
I'm Nisha. Oh, I'm Nisha, the social advocate.
Hey.
So we're back today, and Jay is going to lead us in a conversation today. But we're going to go. I'm gonna go ahead and recap last week. So last week we talked about trauma and how it affects relationships, and we talked about how that challenges the sense of safety, and it challenges also the way that you see yourself, and how you expect the worst. Always on fight or flight or defensive mode. So we talked about those things, and how that coincides with just relationship, how that starts in relationships with your kids, and making sure that you're having that open line of communication with them, and just being patient with them ultimately is patience, and you because you want to break those generational curses, right? So that's what we talked about last week, and it was a great conversation. It intertwined with a lot of different things. So that was an amazing conversation that we had last week. So, Jay, what you got for us today?
Girl, I don't have nothing, but I got, but I got. I just want to talk. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. I guess it's kind of sort of like
Okay.
a lesson or whatever, but I just want to little chit chat a little bit. Okay, first of all, let me tell y'all what happened yesterday. Okay, let me put y'all all in my personal business. Look at my like, okay, okay, yeah. But let me put y'all in my personal business. Okay. So yesterday I had a few friends over, like we had a few drinks and things like that. So we started talking about our kids. I want the audience to know that at least 3 out of 4 of us have kids. So we on here we have kids, so we can relate very much. And some of the topics that we talk about is because we don't been through it. So if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, So we're not here judging. We're not here telling you how to raise your kids or anything like this. The reason why we bring, well, I know for me, the other ladies can actually vouch for themselves, but I know for me, the reason why I bring up these topics is because our kids is being either given away to CPS or they've been like taken away by the streets. So I feel like if we come together as parents, as sisters, as sisters and brothers, and help one another with our kids, we won't lose our kids to either the streets or the system. So that's why mainly um, I'm so head driven about, you know, um, talking about parenting and teaching because nowadays the generations have changed. These kids are actually running away and running away to other people that they think that's going to save them, and these people don't be saving them. So and that's just due to experience and helping other kids get through their situation. And I hear it a lot because I work with teenagers and also because I work with kids, and parents. So I just wanted to like throw that out there a little bit before I get into yesterday event. Okay, y'all ready? I got you. Okay, let's get into it. So yesterday I invited a
I
few
like
friends.
that, Jay.
What?
That's
You
good
did? You
topic.
did? You got okay. Okay. So it's a little talk. Let's talk. Because the thing is we here to talk. We're here to talk to our our audience, and we're here to give advice. Just as much as I'm giving these advice, and Jackie and Nisha and Miss Roberta is giving these advice, you know, we learning from each other. Cause I learn from Roberta all the time, Anisha, Jackie, because I be like, dang, I didn't think about that. Hmm. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I get a little sip, because it actually done caught me. I done doomed on it and kind of, that's why I have a little face expression like, hold on, is she talking to me? Hold on, is she telling my business? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you guys as far as how you guys feel. So let's get into it. So my friends was over, we was having a few drinks, we was kicking, laughing, and hee hee and ha ha. We got on a touchy topic, and that's our kids, you know. So I'm always coming from a genuine place. I always want, my audience, my friends, family. I'm always coming from a genuine place, as well as throwing myself out there. Maybe somebody can help me. So we had a conversation. We was talking about kids, and I was mainly speaking with the dad because one of my close friend is her husband. So me and her, we already on the same page. She know me, okay, and her husband somewhat know me, but he don't know me. But good topic. The crazy thing about it, we agree with each other. We was agreeing with each other back and forth. We was agreeing, but it just seemed like it wasn't a. It just seemed like we was disagreeing, but we was really agreeing. so he started to. So he started to tell me about how he talked to his kids, and he's what he say he means. So if he tell his girls like, no, they can't go there. Like I was like, yeah, we're gonna do a family trip or whatever. Oh, is it gonna be a little other little boys there? Nah, my kid's not doing it. Nah, because I know what these boys thinking, and I know what these boys want out of my daughters and all that. So I'm not having it. I said, well, do you talk to your daughters? Do you talk to your kids? Yeah, but they can do whatever they want to when they turn 18. But up under my rules, they cannot do that. I was like, oh, okay. So I agree with him 100% as a father, coming from the father perspective. I agree with him. But the only thing that I disagree with was the approach, because it's a difference from you having a conversation with your son versus the conversation you having with your daughter. So those are two different conversations. Women are more sensitive, and boys are more so head on. So they more so, okay, it is what it is, I'm just gonna listen and whatever. Women, on the other end, they more so, okay, um my dad, that's just my dad being dad. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. So I was telling him, you want to take the you know more positive, soft spoken approach when you come down to the girls. So my thing is, so that's what I get into. This today is just more of, so I'm going to use Jackie. If Nisha pop back in, then I use Nisha, and I'm going to use Roberta. So this is not just a topic. This is just more of, so everyone is chiming in, because I have a quite a few people that's going to be chiming in on today's show. So. Um, the first thing is that with the father and the daughter situation, one of the things that caught my attention was, and that's why I'm making it anonymous. I'm not trying to throw their business or whatever. But one of the things that caught my attention was that he said that the boys that his daughter is dating is just like him. That's why he does not approve. Okay. And that stayed on my mind, drunk and all. I fell asleep. I'm just knocked out, but still it was just on my mind. I was like, so are you ashamed? of who you are. Because remember, um, no disrespect, like I tell him, no disrespect. This is coming from me caring and a genuine person. I'm just having a conversation with, because the thing is that your children looks up to you. So whatever that they see their parents accepting, their mom accepting, they gonna think it's okay. Oh well, dad like that, mom is like that. See, the kids don't understand the struggle in the background of it. Like my friend was like, yeah, because my kids, because they have everything. I'm not gonna lie, these, you would never think it was a struggle or anything. And that's with everyday parents. They hide they struggle, but they giving their kids the world. So they willing to go broke, they willing to borrow, get into debt, all type of stuff, um, just to provide for their children. And I don't want them, I don't want them to, I want to be able to talk, to come together as, I say, family, more than anything. Because I want to make this podcast more so like a family thing. I'm your sister, sister talking, or whatever you want to call me, girlfriend, friend, sister,
Yeah.
whatever. But at the end of the day, we still family. And I think that's my main objective for today, is just getting these lovely ladies involved in just talking, and we're just gonna talk, nothing lessons or anything like that, or teaching, is just more so talking. But the first thing I want to highlight is self-care. We have touched on self-care a lot. The reason why these topics can be touching is because you have not addressed it. So if we talking about anything and it touch you in any kind of way, that means that you have not completely healed from your problems and from your issues. So that's why we have Roberta, Jackie, and myself, Nisha, when she pop in, like, to help you to find those resources. I have received text message stating, "Hey, I want to dig in a little more into it." We can only go so far into these topics because they is broad, is very broad. So and it's kind of really, like, really, it's like a session. These are sessions. We giving you guys free counseling. But so we helping out a lot. I've received text message, calls and stuff, coming on the show, but I want to let you guys know that self care, self care is so important, and you might not have to go. You might not say like, I need a counselor, but another way to get your problems and your thoughts out is doing our intervention. Okay, what an intervention is that you can get two, you can get one person in that to hear both parties. That's not. I wouldn't recommend that person to know you guys both, because so they can be transparent when they tell you guys stuff. So I just recommend that person to kind of like somewhat know you, but not all the way know your business, because we don't want them to give you advice from a personal, you know, based off they know you personal. We want them to give you advice based off what they hearing, so if that makes sense. Um, so I wanna touch on like different resources. So these are the things we're gonna talk about. It's like different resources that you can utilize, or you can implement, or whatever skills and strategies and things like that, that's going to help you get through some of the things that you are going through. Another thing is self-care. I talk about self-care all the time. It's so important. Like me, I start my day with God, and I end my day with God. I am a religion person, but not everybody is. But that's what helps me. It keeps me sane. So but if God is not the route for you, self care is the second thing I start. So after I read my verse and talk with God and kind of meditate with God. I meditate the word. And what I mean by meditating the word is just letting it marinate. So let it soak, let it sit on your brain for a minute, let it get all the juices, so you can understand that word. Just don't read the word and then you're like, oh, okay. And then now your boyfriend don't walk in, cuss them out. Ooh, help you, Jesus. Lay hands on my sister that's out there. But instead of doing that, if you marinate that word, it kind of give you a clear mind, like, okay, well, I know that I'm gonna, go into this word and actually, heads on, or I'm gonna go into the universe and just tackle it the best way I know how. Second of all is self care. Like I said, um, reading a book, meditating in the tub or yoga or stretching, and all that stuff is good. Kind of releasing that toxic because it's toxic. So that's why when you walk around people and your nose flare up because this person has said something about your kids, that's because you ain't really just fully healed from it. So if we're gonna dive into it and get, you know, a little more, get the other ladies' information, like their advice, any type of information that they can give, they can help. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with you know, my my Roberta.
Well, hey, well, hey, well, uh, I think the story with that's an awful lot, and you're right. We have spoke about some of that before, and I'm just vastly remembering Raenesha saying, she identified the stages. So the first of all is identifying when there's an issue. Some of us just don't even know that we have an issue, and we don't want to acknowledge it. We've had the outcomes of the issue, but we don't acknowledge it. And I think, what you're reflecting on is that it kind of sounded like he was kind of authoritative. And it's a little difference when you're authoritative.
Hmm.
And an authoritarian parent tells the child what to do
Hmm.
or tells that person what to do. So,
Hmm.
and it's kind of going back to what you said. I'd rather be spoke with so you can hear what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying. That's our communication rather than you speaking at me,
Right.
And I think that makes it hard when someone is speaking and so you can kind of see if he's saying, well, it's just how it is, then possibly it's not going to be how it is. And then if he say, hey, you know what? She got a boyfriend like me, but I don't like it. He's saying really basically because I know that that's some horrid stuff that I've dealt with and that I'm going off of. I'm an authoritative. Possibly his parents were authoritative, but also when we talk about trauma, maybe he has a perfection mindset where I have to be a perfectionist. That's part of going through trauma as well. Feeling like you got to fit the bar all the time. You can't fail. That's also part out of living out of trauma or being busy all the time. People don't realize that that's an outcome for us adults. That's some of the things that we do because we've been through trauma and we just have not processed that. And then I like you saying you have not healed, but I just like to take it a little farther. I always say we always are working on something. So for me, I'm always working on something. I'm always on self awareness. Like you said, self care. I'm always, do you need rest? What's going on within you? Do you not feel good? Because sometimes we can, and I always say, check your mental health just like you do your blood pressure.
Hmm.
Your blood pressure shouldn't
Yes.
shouldn't be sky high where you got a headache and you can't see. Well, same way with your mental health. You shouldn't be so stressed out or have so many thoughts that you just don't know what to do with yourself. Check that and balance it out. Do what you need to do to balance it out. Practice taking care of yourself.
How can
You
we
know,
check that? How
yeah.
can, when you say check your mental health, how can we check that?
Well, when I've heard people say, "Hey, I wake up angry. I wake up angry." There's a reason why you're angry.
Right.
Identify why. Or I'm sad. You know, every day, just about every day I'm crying. If I see something on television, just a thought of something just makes me cry. Check
Right.
that. It's okay to check that, and it's okay to have those emotions. We just come from such a place where people say, something's wrong with you if you sad, something wrong with you if you're angry. Not necessarily, but you can check it, and then okay, this is what it is. I may be tired, I may be burnt out, I may
Mhm.
have too many things that I'm dealing with, or I may have so much to deal with that I don't even know where to start. So that's why I'm feeling that way. But being kind to yourself, we got a problem even being kind to ourselves. We'll do stuff for people. Some people do so many things for everybody else, but won't do anything for themselves. So just being knowing, okay, I need to check that, and going to the extreme of this suicide. We have a high rate of suicide, and
Right.
guess what? It ain't just It used to be people who were not of color.
Mhm.
Honestly, we weren't even on the scale before. Black women, Hispanic women, we were not even on the scale of suicide. But since COVID, guess what? We're on the scale now. So we need to really pay attention, because guess what? We're the backbones of what? Our communities.
Right.
So we have so much going on.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Baby. You better bring it like nobody else.
So I could go ahead and hand it over uh, to Raenesha.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. Hey y'all.
I
So
know.
this is a really good conversation. I love how attentive you are, Joe, to,
Thank you.
of course, your family and things like that. But one thing for me I want to talk about is like different types of parenting, because Roberta did touch on it. So you have authoritative, authoritarian. My dogs will start barking right now. Authoritarian, authoritative, and then there's also there's one more. I had googled it. I forgot the other one. Permissive.
Mister.
So like the authoritarian, like Roberta was saying, is more of commands, just telling you what to do. You need to do what I do, say what you do what I say. Don't ask no questions. It doesn't matter. Then the authoritative is more of the parent that has like a good balance between kind of telling you what to do, but also like leading with example, well, by example, inspiring you, giving you the space to kind of put your 2 cents in, live your life how you want to live it, also while kind of still being a parent and having boundaries. And then you have the permissive one, who just is what we call your parent. Your mama want to be your friend, so she just kind of let you do whatever. Don't really hold you accountable. Don't really lead by example. It's just, um, you know, that type of thing. So I think that's very important to pay attention to. And I mean, I'm not a parent, so this is just me talking. Um, I think that's important. Our parenting style is important to think about when raising our children, because not all parenting styles fit children, and not all discipline styles fit children. I think understanding your child's what's the word? I just had it in my head. It's on the tip of my tongue. Really, how your child operates, like y'all know what I'm talking about. Help me. I keep thinking like your temperament.
Or their
Understanding your
character.
child's temperament is important too. Yes, that type of thing. So, for me, that's important. And I also liked how Roberta touched on trauma and mental health. I know a lot of the times as adults, especially now in today's society, the world is going crazy. We have all these things on our shoulders, all these different things to worry about, and you still got to be a parent at the end of the day, 24/7. So I think making sure that you check your mental health, meditating on, because sometimes like I'm a person like I used to be hot headed. I know I'm an Aries, so I used to just act off my emotions. But as I've gotten older, I realized, okay, what's really going on right now? Am I really upset at what this person said? Or, and I think I've said this before, am I just in a bad mood today? Am I already frustrated about something? about something else, and this is just what this person said exacerbating my emotions. Is this like
Right.
the icing on the cake for me for my day? And I think a
Right.
lot of times parents can kind of spew that on their children because it's easier. You're the parent. They just some kids just take it. They don't really have a choice. So I think checking in with that is important. And even if you do feel like um, you're having a bad day, apologizing to your child too is important. Or just taking a step back and saying, "Look, I just need a moment. Mommy's feeling or daddy's feeling XYZ. We'll talk about it in a little bit." Or let me go. One thing I tell my kids that I work with, and in previous jobs, I talked about leading by example is I need to go use my coping skills. I need to go meditate. I need to go deep breathe. I need to go wash my hair. I need to go do some stuff for a little while, and then I'll come back to you, and then we can talk about it because I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. So I think that's very important. But coming together as a community used to be a really big thing. I can at least say for like the Black community, the whole thing of it takes a village. That used
Right.
to be a huge thing, but this generation in 2023, everybody don't nobody want to understand nothing to their kids. Everybody want to raise their kids how they want to raise them, which is totally fine. But again, that's when you start to have so much burden on yourself because you don't have no help. You don't have nobody when your kids go outside to play. You don't have nobody checking your kids for breaking glass or, being like, oh, I'm going to tell your mom that you did that. I know just to kind of keep your kids in line continuously. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess that's my 2 cents. I heard most of what you said, Jay, but then my Wi-Fi kind of started tripping. But yeah, that's what I got.
That was good. I like you. You said a mouthful. What's up,
Thank
Jackie?
you.
Definitely. Okay, so I want to highlight what someone put a comment on and said, the mirror. So I think he said, I don't want to meet him, right? Because he reminds me of myself or what have you, right? That's what you said.
Right.
So it is a mirror. It's doesn't he knows what he doesn't want his child to be exposed to, but has he, really self-reflected on that and self-aware, like, why, what have I done, what do I need to do to change that? um and it is, and kids, individuals tend to kind of gear towards a significant other that is reflective of their dad. Like for a woman, their dad; for a man, their mom. I've seen it many times before. I've gotten told that my husband has the same personality like my dad, and he does. So, but I don't know how that happened. Really, I don't know if we just gear towards that, right? I guess it's growing up with it, and that's the expectation that we've had, or that's what we've said. Okay, that's the kind of that's what I expect out of my significant other. But it does go boil down to self-awareness, having that conversation with his daughter as well, saying, okay, well, I kind of sat on me looking at how I am and how I respond to things, how I do
Exactly.
things, and I don't want that for you. I want you to look for something, different, something better.
Exactly.
um and it's having that honest conversation, you know
Exactly.
I think that's what it really
Exactly.
boils down to, having
Yes.
that honest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually even a component when it, because you talked about self-care too, that's even a component with self-care, is being self-aware, like Roberta said, checking in with yourself, um, even asking, knowing when to ask for help too. Like, hey, I know this about myself, but I don't know where to start. Where should I start? Trusting in someone else to kind of guide you through that. Um, and even spending time alone with yourself as well, getting to know yourself, getting to break down what is it that I need, how is it that I feel, how can
Right.
I address these things.
All right.
And it's it, it's a it can be difficult to sitting with yourself and really breaking it down, because you're
Yes.
asking yourself, how is it that I truly, feel? And it can be difficult, so, and tough, but that's just the first step to really getting to the root of what is it that I need to address in myself, and how can I address it.
Right.
Mhm.
Let's get it your thing. That's good. Okay. I want to be like my daddy. Have y'all heard the song? Okay. There's no one
Yes, that's the Beyonce song.
like my daddy. Hey, I
Let's go
want
with.
to be.
You had a good
Okay.
daddy.
Yeah. Let me get some vocals. Some vocals. I love y'all. I love this audience.
Yeah.
I want you guys to understand one thing, that you were kids once before. If you keep that in mind
Mm-hmm.
and think about the way your mother and your father talked to you when you was 8, and when you was 9, and when you was 14, okay? You gotta keep that in mind. Now that you all see our kids going to other friends' houses and thinking parents should be the same. Yes, that's why I said exactly. And I'm gonna touch on that. Okay. You guys gotta remember that you guys used to be kids before. And I want you to think about the way your parents talked to you, the way your mom
Mhm.
talked to you, the way your dad talked to you. And it was like, oh my God, no, he's crazy. Your kids the same way. So that's why I said I do not agree with talking and raising your kids the way you was raised. You need to learn from those mistakes that your parents did and try to fix that mistakes with your kids.
And do
So
better.
you don't want
Hmm.
to continue on the generational curse, like we said
Like we
last.
talked about last week. Come on.
You don't
Yes.
want to. That's what we mean by generational curse, because you bring in something that your parents, you know damn well you didn't like the way your parents or your way your father, they might, even though they probably was good parents, I'm not
Yeah.
saying they was bad parents. I'm just saying it was
Mhm.
certain things that they did that you did not like, so you willing to take all of that and putting it on your kids, because
Oh,
the thing is that you want to get the same outcome that your parents got with you with your own kids.
Right.
Okay. So
Hmm. If not
be,
worse.
yeah, if not worse. So be mindful of that. Be mindful. That's why the generation, like I hear a lot that can't no kids teach me and tell me what to do. And you know how smart these kids is? They got a TV show that say, "Are you smarter than a fifth grader?" A TV show. That are you, and those parents not smarter than a fifth grader. But my thing is that by me saying that is that, as you talk to your kids, you learning your kids. You don't know these kids. Even though they your kids, you don't know them. You don't know what they go through. You don't know how they feel just because they in your house.
Hmm.
So, and then you
Hmm.
wonder why they go to their friends. They spend a night at their
Hmm.
friends, and then they see how their friends' mom treat them. They like, oh, I want to live over here. But they not understanding that being that permissive parent is not a good parent, because them be the ones that be in the streets, the parents that don't care, or them be the, kids that be lost into the system.
Right.
I'm telling you, CPS got, I don't even think they can see they floor how many kids they got sleeping on it. You know, you just don't know how many times I scroll down Facebook and somebody's picture is on a t-shirt, you know? So I will do anything, and I'm willing to do anything. I calls all the time. Yeah, I only been a mom for 3 years, you know. So and I still have a lot to learn. It doesn't matter when she turned 18. I still have a lot to learn about my child. So yes, we do gotta go back. It do take a village to raise these kids. Just because they not your mama helping you out with these kids, or your auntie or your sister, you still have, like, you still got that next door neighbor that your mom been living next to for 30 years, that can help you, that can talk to
Mm-hmm.
you, that tells you, like, hey, when have the last time you sit down with somebody that's 60 plus and got advice, as like, how was you raised? You know, when have the last time you sat down with somebody that's 70 or 80 years old and they tell you what's the true meaning of family? I sat with this lady and she was telling me, she's 84 years old, and I asked her, what's the true meaning of family? And she told me, food. I was like, what? I was like, what you mean by that? She said, take that home with you in a basket, baby, and then you come back and let me know what you think about that. In
That's
a basket? What the hell? A basket? I don't need no biscuits. And
she's
I'm like,
giving game.
in a basket. It
See,
took me a
now that's
long
how
time.
you know. That's how
It
you
took
know
me a
you
long
got love.
It
You
took me a
got
long
love.
time to figure out what she mean by take that in the basket and come back. So I took it and I did let it marinate.
Yeah.
And when she said food, it stood out as she asked me, what do it mean to you? And I said, union, you
Mm-hmm.
know, togetherness,
Yeah, because
connection.
people have been coming together over food for
Hmm.
since the beginning of time.
Hmm.
Or even that, you guys, she spiritual. We get spiritual food. You said you
Exactly.
read,
Hmm.
you if you meditate, that's all
Hmm.
spiritual. That's all
Yep.
food for
Mm-hmm.
our soul.
Exactly.
So it
And
may not, we may not be eating it, but it gives us what we need to survive.
exactly,
But it could be
Roberta.
giving us love.
I knew you was gonna get
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Feeding our spirit.
Yes, like
Now,
Roberta said, it's not just food. It's
uh-uh.
also just spirit. It's just spiritual, like words. When you
Yeah,
read the Bible, you eating those words in. When somebody telling you or giving you advice, you
Edifying.
eating
Come
those
on,
words.
Queen.
yeah,
Edifying.
Yes,
that's
you
yeah.
eating
That's
those words. Like when you sit on somebody's couch and you cry out to them, you eating their words. That's your
yeah.
food. That's your union. That's your connection.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So,
And see,
so I don't know about y'all, but I'm hungry for
that's
that
right.
food. I'm starving
That's
because
right.
my belly not gonna never be full, because
That's
it's so much to this world that I have to learn and that I don't know nothing about. So don't come in here
right.
talking about these are my kids. I know everything about these kids, because you don't. Let somebody let somebody give you this food
That's right.
so
That's
you
right.
can feed on it. you
That's
know
right.
so
That's right.
I wanted to that was my word for today, is the food in union, as a connection, as as love. Don't don't let nobody, we're not here to tell you how to raise your kids. We here because we don't want another person in the system, or we don't want nobody on no t-shirts, because these kids just want to live. They just want to live. They don't know what coming. And it's up to us to tell them what's coming, because
And
our
then
days are coming.
that's right.
Go
That's
ahead,
right.
Roberta.
Oh, I was just gonna say even better than that, Jay. We all have an inner child. Raenesha speaks of them all the time. We all have an inner child, and a lot of time that inner child has not got what it's needed. So we need to be kind and listen to our inner child as
Yes.
well. But just not even if you have children, also yourself. Because a lot of times we set ourselves up for sabotage, heartache, uh, wrecks, just train
Mm-hmm.
wrecks, life train wrecks. We do it to ourselves. So we just, so it's just not good if you're a
Yeah.
parent, I'm trying to say, but for yourself too. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are. We losing a lot, and we have lost a lot.
Right. Very true.
I'm
That's
glad
good.
you said that, Roberta, because um, when you said, Jay, that he, the father said he didn't want to meet the boyfriend because he reminded too much of him of himself. One, for me, that should have been a really big red flag and a moment for him to sit back and do some reflecting and try to be as aware as possible to why, one, it's you don't like the fact that her boyfriend is like you, and two, why is she picking guys that are like you, and three, what could you have done differently, or what can you do differently as a parent? I think I've said this before. Like they say, oh, girls choose men that are like their dad. That's possible. For me, it's
Mhm.
the opposite because my inner child from my dad really has not healed yet. You know what I'm saying? So if I meet a man that triggers my inner child or makes me feel any way that my dad made me feel all that trauma I went through with him as a child, I'm like, oh no, I'm not going through this again. I don't like the way this feels. No. So I typically see myself going for men that have the opposite characteristics and qualities of my father. And I also know that by being aware and doing some reflecting, that
Right.
even if I do date a guy or come across a guy that isn't like my father, but he does like small little things here and there that remind me of him, I have these huge, over dramatic reactions to it, because it's triggering that little piece of that inner child that has not fully healed yet. And I also want to point out too that you, like Roberta was saying earlier, you can still be healed or continuing to work on something and still feel triggered. So like if
Mhm.
something triggers gonna always be triggers. Like you just can't get away from triggers. That's the sucky part about trauma, right? There's always going to be triggers. And one thing that we do as professionals is give our clients the tools and the things that they need in order to address those triggers, to prepare for those triggers. What coping skills are you going to do when you do come across these triggers? Because a lot of times you can't control when you're triggered. But if you can control when you're triggered or how you're triggered, what type of people do you need to stay away from? What type of situations do you
Right.
need to actively keep yourself out of? Um, what type of environments should you be in or not be in order to not feel these triggers? Because, like Jay said, you might flare your nose up. Something might trigger,
Right.
and you be like, "Oh no, I need to go because I'm being triggered."
Right.
Um, so it really sucks that it's like an ongoing continuum where you're constantly having to work at things. And healing is not pretty.
Okay.
It's not.
Let me let
It
me
never will
um
be.
let me answer this question. Did he fix what he did not like? I think it was just more of so it's okay. Did he fix his old self that he did not like, or is he still the same? So the thing is with him is that he met the his daughter's boyfriend. I don't know if they had a dinner date or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and they decided to bring and they was okay because these kids are teenagers, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they decide to bring their boyfriends. I guess the parents like, okay, yeah, let me meet them. They come over. He had conversations
Mm-hmm.
with the fellas, and he saw him in them, and he did not like it because, and I'm like, okay, because he is something that he wish he could have done better, you know, and it's things that he wished
Mm.
that he could have done different, but he feel like he can't do that. He can't
Mm.
change or he can't fix it, you
Mm.
know. So he's like,
Mm.
okay, I see how this boy
Right.
talking, I see how this boy behaving. I don't want that around my child because I know how I was when I was his age and how I was behaving. And he demonstrated and he showed, the things that he was doing when he was 14 and 13 years old. They was a little managed back then. So, but my thing, what I'm gonna say on that is that um I used to think that you couldn't change anything about yourself until I went off to college and I saw a 60-year-old, 62, 64-year-old woman sitting in the same class as me. And I
Mhm.
was like,
That lady with the blonde hair, the short blonde hair.
yeah, girl, you never heard? That's
I
my
know who you
baby,
talking about. I
girl.
remember her.
Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby.
Hmm. Yes,
And
she used
I
to
used,
wear them cute clothes and everything. She used to give me life.
yes, yes. But I was like, what her old ass doing in here? Look at that. Just being honest. I didn't have no problem with her. Nothing. I was like,
Hmm.
what her old ass doing in here? She need to wrap it up. Come on about our business, And then I asked her, I was like, oh, well, you cute. I like the hair. We was introduced. And she told us, she said that, oh, I'm working on my degree. I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, yeah, because I been living, I think she said she was married for, I don't remember, I don't recall. I think she said she was married for a length time. And she finally separated or something happened with her husband that she decided to live life for her now. So my
Mm.
my highlight to that is that this lady waited until she was 62, 64. So one thing is never too late
Mm-mm.
to change. It's
Yeah.
never too late to fix the issue. It's never too late to fix the problem. It's never too late. But the question is to you is why wait so late in life to try to fix the problem? Why wait until you 62 or 64 to fix the problem? Why not fix it now? Why not say, you know what? I see, because honestly, tell you the truth, if I would have met them boys and I felt the way you felt, that's the day I would have had a whole life change about my kids. Because obviously it's something that,
Mhm.
because obviously it's something that she likes about her dad that she went to go find it with
Mhm.
this guy, and that's why she like him. That's why she thinks he's cool and cute and all of that. But if you was honest with your child in the beginning and let her know, like, hey, this is how dad it was, you know, and this is the reason why, like Jackie was saying, this is how dad was, and this is the reason why I don't want you to date somebody like me. Because the thing is that, remember, they just see the outskirt. They just see the sketches of you, right? They don't see that drawing. You see the difference? They see the sketch. Oh, the sketch is really nice. I think it's filling in really nice. I think it's gonna fill in really good. But they don't know exactly the struggles and the triggers and the pain and the hurt and the suffering and all that when they fill it in, you
Mhm.
know? So that's the perfect way to look at it. Your kids are looking at your sketch, okay? The drawing. They really don't know that full when that color come in and the little shade come in, they don't know that.
Mhm.
When I say that shade and that color and all that, that's the pain and that's the hurt and that's the suffering, that's the trigger and that's the trauma and that's all those things. Okay? But your kid's not gonna understand that if you don't sit down and talk with them.
Yeah.
Because they human too. Because you know why you need to talk to them? Because eventually they're gonna be 30. They're gonna
Mhm.
be your age. And we want to wisen our kids up. We want to make sure they know. We want to shake them in, show them, what the warning signs and the signs and all that, so they can know. My daddy told me about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad was once like this, so no. My daddy said that's not cool. That's not good. So,
Goes back to having those open
I have a
communications with
question.
him, honest conversations.
exactly, Jackie. Hey, Nisha, what's your question?
My question is, do you feel like he was just being a little judgy, or maybe he was just triggered by small things that he saw in this kid that resembled him, and then he just completely was like, "Oh no," kind of like how I do. "Oh no, too
Yeah,
much. That's not gonna work." Because for me, I feel like just because he kind of somewhat reminds you of yourself when you're a kid, you still don't know this child. Like this is your first time meeting him.
exactly.
To me, it just sounds like he was a little triggered and a little judgy, and now he's like, "Oh no, I don't want my daughter dealing with it."
It was
Oh,
definitely a
that's
mirror.
good. Kate. It was definitely the mirror. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
It was definitely a mirror, and it triggered him
Mm-hmm.
because, and I get it. I don't want you to, when you look at this and you guys see this, I don't want you to think that we don't get it. I totally get it. I get you,
Mm-hmm.
but do your kids get you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference, because we the same age. We done seen it all
Right.
and we done did it all. So I see what you see, but do your kids see what you see?
Mm-hmm.
So, because the thing is that you're not painting no picture for me. You're not painting no picture for her boyfriend. You're not painting. You trying to get an understanding with your child, because that's who's gonna take your lessons and all your lecture and all that, and she's gonna mold her to the woman she wants to be. But we want to make sure, like Jackie said, we want to make sure it's the truth, it's honesty. Don't hide behind, false accusations. You know what I'm saying? Don't fall behind things that's not true about you. It's okay for your kids to know your flaws,
Yes.
because they got to
Yeah.
understand that they
Right.
want to make mistakes. You are a human being. You make mistakes. Ain't nobody in this world is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nisha.
And I think that is a really good point. That's such a good point because so many times, even like in my own family and everything, I see kids and parents who have a great relationship as children, but then once the children becomes an adult, their relationship crashes because the child starts to think with an adult mind, like, okay, I'm realizing all the trauma that I went through. I'm really able now that I'm more developed and I'm older to understand what
That's
hurt about
it.
my parent, what they were really doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm starting to see that. So
That's
now I'm
it,
bitter and I'm pushing
girl.
my parents away
Nisha.
because why would you do that to me? You're supposed to be my parent when you're really thinking still as a child's mind, as if your parent is supposed to be perfect, but they're not. They're human. So the more you
That's it.
expose yourself to your children and say, "Hey, mommy makes mistakes. I'm sorry. Daddy makes mistakes. I'm sorry. Daddy went through this when he was a kid, so daddy don't want you to feel that either. Daddy, mommy's still dealing with this." The more you paint yourself as somebody that's human, just like your child, the easier that transition will be when they become adults and be like, "Hmm, mommy, daddy told me about that when they were kids. I know mommy and daddy ain't human. They did the best they could with me. I'm cool with it."
That's it. That's it. I'm gonna highlight just one little piece that took over the whole conversation. Eventually, your kids are going to be grown, and they're gonna see and they're gonna understand
Mm-hmm.
that mistake. That's why we say talk to your kids, because when they get grown, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, mom, I understand. I understood when you said that." Come on, Nisha, hit it on
Mm-hmm.
the nail. That's it right there. That's it. That's good. That's good. That's good. Damn, that's
Wow.
good.
I have a cousin right now who will not talk to her mom for those reasons, and I'm like, she need to
That's
start.
good.
She's not looking at you as her mom, as a mom, and as a person she's not looking at you for who you are. She's looking at you as the mother she felt like you were supposed to be as a child, which is perfect. When we're kids, we all look at our parents as gods. Our parents can't make no mistakes. When you're a
Right.
child, you give your parents so much grace because they're your parent. But then as you get older and you
Mhm.
understand things a little bit different and you have a better understanding of things, you're like, wait, mommy didn't do what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to be
Exactly.
perfect. She was supposed to do this. And it's like, nah, mommy was still a human. Mommy is
Yes.
still a
Okay.
human. Mommy did the best that she could.
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
Exactly. I love it. Jackie, you got anything to close us out with?
No, I love that. Definitely. It's just like with me, with my mom, I grew up, my mom, she said it how it was, her mistakes, to learn from her mistakes. And it really did give me more different perspective as I was getting older and growing up. There weren't things that questions left unanswered. I knew what to expect, to some degree, and and I always knew that I could lean on my mom whenever I had, any trials or tribulations. So it really does help to have that open line of communication with your kids. Start that early, because all they are is mini people. Yes, they're kids, but they are human beings, and they're listening, they're watching, they're absorbing everything and anything around them. Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened. Some
The
dust up in here.
the
But
wall will fix it.
oh my goodness. But yeah,
Jay said you
definitely.
need some wine, girl.
I know, but definitely the open line of communication. So I feel like there could be a part two to this for next week. But yeah, this was great. And we'll see y'all again next Monday at 8, from 8 to 9. And follow us, send us some questions. If you have any topics in mind that you want us to talk about, send that to us our way through Facebook or email.
We love y'all. We love y'all. Love to hear from you all.
Yes.
I love you
Thank y'all for
guys.
tuning
Oh
in.
my
See
Yeah.
you.